Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Meredith Mynrose. I'm a universal healer and a peace visionary. And today I'll be doing a universal astrology message for the sign of Scorpio. Scorpio. Okay, so Scorpio, I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing well. Okay, so we're going to do a universal astrology message for the sign of Scorpio for the month of June 2019. Don't have a preview message, but I'm shuffling this deck, this tarot deck, and I hope you're doing well. Okay. Let's see what the message here is for the sign of Scorpio. Ooh, I see something. Okay. The first card is 3 Pentacles reverse. Don't need introduction. Scorpio, when don't we ever feel like that, right? Not funny, but then we find humor in sadistic things because we just have to find something to laugh at during the dark times. Queen of Wands. And then the 7 of Pentacles. And then 4, 5, 4. And then 6 of Wands. 5, 5. And then King of Swords in reverse. And then, oof. Temperance. Okay, what is up? So let's see what the unicorn says. King of Swords reverse. I feel like you're putting the knife back to, it's like you're learning to kind of like you know, when the knife is on your back, you're like leaning into the knife and you're like, it does not hurt me because I know what I am. So when people are like attacking you, insulting you, is like they're triggered by the fact that they are not you, and they're triggered to throw their shame, insults, self-hate to you. But then because you already know yourself, you deeply love yourself, and you know who you are, and you're like, sure, go ahead, insult me. Sure, go ahead, verbally attack me. Sure, go ahead. And then it's kind of like, you know, like the buffalo thing, like the water runs off the back of the buffalo. That's how I feel like you're feeling like right this month, Scorpio. And I feel like this Queen of Wands is something like your energy. Maybe it wasn't supposed to be, but I think it is. Because it feels like you're like taking ownership to how you feel, and you take no ownership to how other people feel. Because you know that in the past, you've maybe battled a lot of other people's emotions because they keep on making you feel at fault or guilty for them feeling that way. And then you might have understood some kind of an epiphany to recognize that, hey, you know what? how other people feel is their their issues, and I can only control what I feel. I have some like mental interruption just now, so let me just kind of like clear that out. Clear out all the mental interruption. What I mean? Okay. So one unicorn card came out. So Queen of Wands is like you learn to mental interruption. Excuse me. Mental interruption. I'm telling the Scorpios like, don't interrupt my thoughts. Okay? Let me just pull this out and then I'll continue what I wanted to say with Queen of Wands. It would have saved a bit more time if I can just say what I want to say about the Queen of Wands. So you Scorpios, you might resonate to this, but some of you may not. So that's a fact. Okay. So when I mentioned Queen of Wands, I mentioned that it is like as earlier I mentioned that when people kind of like attack you, when people kind of like when people attack you, insult you, and then they kind of like try to shame you and try to put you down, they're only triggered by the way they see you, Scorpio. And as you are like sitting on your throne and you recognize an energy where you no longer have that compelling feeling to put yourself in a position where you juggle other people's emotional needs and other people's expectation for you to please their emotions. It feels like you can carry your energy in a very So one point I have to tell you here is that if you've done your healing, if you because when I do my universal message, I see from a higher perspective where I kind of like water down, like pour, or you like nurture the Scorpio with the best outlook that you should have a goal towards. This reading doesn't necessarily say that this is who you are now, but this is who you can be. So some of you are not Queen of Wands just yet. Some of you may not have that ability to lean into the thing that pains you and to not be provoked or triggered by it. But some of you, without the interruption of other Scorpios, some of you are individuals who have learned, who have mastered, who have experienced and put in the effort to become internally wise and externally knowledgeable. And the energy that I want to say about Queen of Wands without an interruptive energy is that you know that you can stand in your power and you can let other people carry their own emotions without you having to react or to change yourself to fit their expectation of you, to fit their toxic projection of you. Like if they think that you are a smoker, then you're like, you know what, think what you want, but at the end of the day, it's wrong. So you can easily let that rumor roll off your back. You can easily let other people's negative assumption about you roll off your back, because they're only projecting a reflection of themselves, because you're this bright light. If you are healed, Scorpio, some of you are not. So if you are healed, you have that power to kind of like have that negative energy roll off your back, because you have already nurtured an aspect within yourself that doesn't let other people trigger your emotional well-being. You're like, you are anchored in your power, where those betrayals, those traitors, those negativity doesn't get to you. And it's like you're comfortable in your skin enough that how other people say, do, done, did, attempt, assume, it no longer create an obstacle in your path. So what I see with this card, 7 Pentacles and 6 of Wands, is that you seem to become a diligent worker. You're like, you work on the things that matters to you, and it seems like you have this kind of like 2 lives, where you can see yourself how other people see you. Like for example, I'm just gonna bring up teenage years here. Like for example, the way your family sees you is a certain way, but the way people at school sees you is a certain way. And the way people, after you graduate, the way people sees you at work, because of your skills, of your manners, of your hospitality, of your generosity, of your professionalism, people see you differently. So you're learning to actually accept how a group of people see you. And then you're actually learning to kind of like not let how this group of people see you influence or kind of like pull you down in a very negative way in other areas of your life. So here I'm explaining where because this is like an energy that is pulled down. The people who sees you wants to pull you down. And some of you, so this is for the other Scorpios, so some of you don't know that you're down and you're pulling down others. That is like I mentioned in my previous video, Libra, I said that this universal astrology message is for people who resonate, vibrate to the sign of Scorpio. At the same time, to understand this is that there's a natural Scorpio, and there's a Scorpio that is out of their natural path, and there's another Scorpio that is like in their most divine natural path. So there's a Scorpio with different shades of white to black to the darkest. Like some Scorpio is very toxic, and some Scorpios are like have transformed the toxic into cure, into healer, into cure, healer. So they finally transform the venom that they hold from the world that they have absorbed into their emotions into healing. So some Scorpios don't have that ability yet, and then they kind of like don't know that they are pulled down by their circumstances, that they are dragged down by their circumstances. So that is some other Scorpio. But what I see here is that for the Queen of Wands, Either you might learn or you want to learn, or you are trying to learn to stand for those Scorpios who have yet to master. So because everybody is on their own pace, not all Scorpios have the same paces of their awakening. So some Scorpios, they are learning to master an emotion where they don't let other people pull them down, even when other people want them to go down, their toxic projection, and then they kind of like carry on with how they deal with life. And then here I mentioned how a group of people see you doesn't necessarily mean that they can paint you in a way that affects your other worlds. How your, maybe sometimes your parents or your partner or your children sees you is not the same way how people at work, your profession sees you. And you're learning to recognize that you exhibit a different value with different groups of people. And when different groups of people don't like how you carry your duties, how you carry your responsibilities, and expect more of you, and because you have certain values that some areas of group of people don't value because they don't want that boundaries that you hold, because then they cannot benefit. So sometimes your group of friends may see you as a weak person, but they're only projecting toxic projection, their own internal values to you, while in other areas of your life, maybe your job, your work, your profession, you carry your energy diligently, or you want to, or you're trying to, or you're learning to get there, and you are seen differently. But one thing for sure other than that is that I see that you can discern, which is this card. You can discern how you're learning to put attention on personal relationship, public relationship, professional relationship. So it's like personal, public, professional. So you're learning to discern what the values are between you and home, you and public, and you and professional ways. Or you're learning to. Okay? So, and it seems to be that one of the areas of your life, some Scorpios, you're going to be achieving a certain rate of success. You might work to nurture some passion that has nothing to do with how other people project their toxicity on you, and it's going to be a ride to victory. It's going to be a success. So let me tune into the King of Swords. It's actually reversed, and then the Temperance. Expansion and prosperity. So I feel like this card resonates with this card. This 6 Wands and 7 Pentacles is prosperity and expansion. Prosperity and expansion. So it feels like you're going to gain some victory knowing how to discern your relationships with different group of people, and you're learning to be like the buffalo water off his slide off its back. I don't know what this is yet, but I definitely think it's actually reversed. I think that you need to entertain. You need to kind of like solve your household matters. Take care of your house stuff or something. Oops. So I'm shuffling the Dragon card to see what other clue I got with Temperance and King of Swords. What was last month's grim fate for those who undermine your majestic darkness? Last month for May, the energy was grim fate for those who undermine your majestic darkness. I feel like you've turned over a new leaf, some Scorpios. Because you were able to discern how your vulnerability or weakness or your reaction to foolish people or foolish situation triggered you. You're learning to understand that you cannot change people. You cannot do anything to satisfy or please them. At the same time, you have to like learn to ground yourself. You cannot always kind of like try to be something someone wants you to be. If you relate, let me know. There's different energy of Scorpios pulling this message around. So that's why I had to really catch my words and interpretation, because I am not like reading for someone's ego. I'm reading for the goodness of all this, for the message. The aircon is kind of like windy, so windy from the aircon that my hair is like moving a lot. Okay, so it's terrible for Scorpio's ego. For some small 13% it's horrible for some Scorpio's ego. If you don't learn to ground yourself and look at the things that is pulling you down, it's a terrible thing for the ego. Okay. My hair. Okay, so you got the gold and silver violet flame dragon. Transmute the all around you with wisdom and grace. It's time for transmutation, magic, and healing. Offer service under grace. So you got this card, gold and silver violet flame dragon. So you need to transmute the all around you with wisdom and grace. And I can positively be assertive the fact that you need to learn to be the exemplary Scorpio energy that I mentioned, where they learn to lean into the sword. Like when somebody kind of like stab you, when they stab you, it's not painful for you because you recognize what is yours. So, but to do that, you need a lot of self-awareness and self-reflection and self-exploration. But some Scorpio energy did not learn that, cannot do that, because they're stuck in falling down. And I just want to like get out there. But as you know, every Scorpio is responsible for their own awakening. So sometimes it goes without reason that they are in charge of their own healing. But here is the Queen of Wands, where on the shadow side of the Queen of Wands, you might be telling people that you're not this. So you're maybe oblivious or ignorant to your own sword stabbing energy. So a lot of transmutation have to happen. Enables you to bring forward your soul wisdom, awaken your soul memories and higher spiritual understanding, prepare for accelerated ascension. So you guys need to actually be really prepared and ready to awaken, to rise higher, to be wise. And the last one is Earth and Fire Dragon. Works with you to clear the fifth dimensional ley lines. It's time for service. When you give, you receive. It's time for service. When you give, you receive. Works with you to clear the fifth dimensional ley lines. So from the Dragon card, I feel like wisdom, grace. So the universe is expecting you to step up and work on your wisdom and your grace. Which some of you Scorpios, like maybe 70% of you, are individuals who have done that.
From Final Cut Pro.
And some of you are still struggling with thinking that you are, maybe you're not. So we're going to pull out the dragon, not the dragon, this deck. King of Swords, Temperance. Some of you have really turned over a new leaf, and it's good to some of you. It's good that you can see your past mistakes, and you can see how maybe in the past you're oblivious to the pain. Like, you know, it's like as if you're walking and you're bleeding and you don't know you're bleeding, and people are like, but you're bleeding, it's very damn serious, and you don't know that, and then you think, no, it's not, because you're accustomed to it. It's like you didn't heal your inner child's wound, and as an adult you're walking with bleeding wounds, and then you keep attracting toxic people who keep on abusing you the same way that your inner child was abused as a young child, and you don't recognize how important it is to heal and to tap into transmuting and transforming a lot of those wounded energy into healing through wisdom. And like 13% to 70% of you are like still struggling with that energy, and no one can rescue you but yourself. So it has to be a situation where it must be done, but it's on you. It is on you. Last card. This is easy. They just pop up. Handling personal matters. I think the first card is about handling personal matter. Ooh, you got this one. Cool. Okay, so we got co-create, and then we have observer. So you're being asked to co-create and observe, so that it includes the objective of a new life. To create through understanding. Observing means you have to be silent to understand. Okay? Co-create, to create with someone through self-awareness, self-reflection, self-exploration, so that you can begin a new life. I feel like there's a journey between you nurturing your financial stuff and reaching the rewards for it, but you need to balance it with it feels like let me get back to you on the King of Swords. And the last one might give us clues about this thing that I mentioned. I was getting it, but it's better. My hair is in front. I was getting it, but I'm not sure if it is for one person or if it's like a few, because the one person energy has been interrupting my train of thought. So that's why. So to all the other Scorpios, I'm sorry if the one Scorpio keeps on interrupting the message. King of Swords. It feels like is this 1 or 2? Do you want 1 or 2? Thank you. Just saying to the energy, thank you. Okay, resilience and boundaries and acceptance, creation. You get co-create and creation together. Gosh. There is something you have to create and you need to do it with someone. And might I just say that this might entail working with me, but not necessarily. Find a healer, find a coach, find a spiritual guide that you trust, that you can respect. Maybe some of you cannot respect a person who's younger, like you might not respect a person who is younger, who is of different culture than you, to give you spiritual guidance. So find someone that you can look up to, that you admire, that you feel that is a good example and it's a good influence, so that you can co-create with that healer or coach or spiritual guide to bring you to a beautiful new awareness, so that you can heal your wound, so that you can become better at life, to love yourself. So that is a very important thing I must tell you. So there's this acceptance card, resilience and boundaries. Acceptance card and resilience and boundaries. So some of you Scorpios have extremely poor boundaries, the 17 to 13%, 13 to 17%. But all the 83% is quite cool. Acceptance, resilience, and boundaries. So let's ask you. Let us ask you, Scorpios. So I feel like this is for like the Scorpios who haven't transmute their toxic energies. Let's ask you, what is this acceptance about? What are you not accepting? Because from me working with Scorpio energy, I feel like some of you who might get this card is possibly because you're in denial, and that is a very grave mistake. To be in denial of all the wounds that are bleeding from your aura, from your energy. Sometimes the word delusion, the word in denial is backed off by people who are sabotaging their healing. So some of you Scorpios, if you're kind of like batting off, being in denial of your pain, being in denial of how extremely severe that healing must occur, but you take it lightly and you're like, nah, it doesn't matter. Like, so are you willing to accept that you need healing, Scorpios? Are you willing to accept that you need to get people show you the truth about how the circumstances really are? Some people, they're so hypnotized and they're so toxic projection that they don't know how severe that situation is, and they attack, or they kind of like don't want to see it because they're like programmed to keep that toxic mental negativity keep running subconsciously, that they keep feeding the toxic energy vampires. So resilience. Let me ask you, Scorpio. How hard will you work to face your ego? How hard will you work to face your ego? as much as I can tell you, there's always two polar opposite side of this reading. Some of you may resonate to the very unhealed, toxic Scorpio, and you're looking towards a way up. Some of you have kind of like brutally, resiliently push and heal your soul even deeper, and getting to the deeper, darker depth aspect of your whole soul. So you keep on like healing and healing. That's like what me do, like what I do. But some of you are taking it for granted and like not really realizing that it's more severe than it seems, it's more severe than it looks, it's more severe than it is going to be a very fucking tough wake-up call if you don't accept the stark abstract reality. Like, what is actually happening? What is you actually ignoring? And what is happening and you're ignoring is going to bite you back in the ass. Oops. You call it, universe did it, done. Boundaries. So for the Scorpios who have learned their lesson and transmute and transform and heal, and like they discern, like this is the way that society sees me, or this is the way that my family sees me, but this is the way that I connect with society. But they don't know it because they don't understand how I connect to society. And only a percentage of society really loves me because they are the percentages that actually understands the value of what I'm passionate about, because they needed those things that I'm offering. But some people, because they never, like, you know, when you never needed a doctor, you never realize how helpful a doctor can be. When you never realizes that you need some service worker, you never shown this appreciation. So some collective society would actually show and share a certain amount of understanding, validation, and gratitude. And the way they see you is a healthy projection of validation. Because I was gonna say value and validation. I was like saying value. Oops. So I said validation and value, and how another percentage of people would see you as irresponsible, careless, reckless, uncommitted, ignorant, dismissive, like, you know, all the negative values that shouldn't be there. And you're asked to recognize, are you respecting boundaries that belongs to other people? And at the same time, do you have boundaries so that other people can respect it? So as much as you want to dip your toe into the lake or the stream of river, are you sure where you're standing? So it's like, know where your boundaries are, Scorpio. Know where your boundaries are. This is to the unhealthy Scorpios. I had to do it this way because universe is giving me the messages from it. So if this touches the nerves of Scorpio in the wrong way, I cannot say that I'm wrong, because this is what the message wants to come out as. So for this King of Swords reverse, at first I thought it was like a professional businessman. I first think that this person is kind of like trying to haggle, or trying to kind of like, you know, when you're trying to make a deal and someone just keeps on breaking their promises and just keeps on they don't keep to their word. Because King of Swords is the reverse card. This card is reversed. So if it was upright, it would be someone who can clearly speak their mind, someone who is trustworthy, is a fucking trustworthy person, and someone who can be relied upon through the, like, if he was a lawyer, if he was a peacekeeper, if he was the person who is honest and having this integrity. Is like almost like as if he has the justice energy, the justice card, to keep the fair and balance, but it's reversed. So to a group of this Scorpio, so I'll go with number one. Number one is like the unhealthy Scorpios. To that group of Scorpio who have like the 13 to 17% who has yet to heal, are you committed to what you're saying? Are you respecting the boundaries? Because swords is also boundaries. Are you respecting the boundaries of others? And do you respect your own boundaries? Do you have boundaries? And about this temperance, do you carry a balanced compassion between you and other people that you want around you? Oops. For the other maybe 2 and 3 group of Scorpios, reading your energy again. Reading your energy again. As much as you guys, this one is like the medium health Scorpio. The normal Scorpio, not the brink of falling off the cliff Scorpio. 6 Wands. Something about, are you listening to your higher instincts? It seems like for the second group of Scorpio, for like the normal ones, you're learning to kind of like recognize how other people's emotional reaction to you no longer triggers you, and you know how to discern how people see you, and how certain group of people will see you with negative projection, and other people who sees you in a different area of your life don't do that. And it doesn't influence the things that you're passionate about, because you don't let other toxic people feel like they have the power to ruin your belief about what you love. And that's why you can move forward with this 6 of Wands, having the victory, because you learn to nurture what you love. But at the same time, the temperance energy is mentioning how, are you balancing a healthy boundary between giving and taking, and in the second group of Scorpio, it's like someone, it's not you, it's someone maybe like a business proposal to be included in what you value is untrustworthy again. And then I mentioned about higher instincts. You might dismiss your higher instincts to believe that their word can be believed, but they're not trustworthy. The last group so far there's like 3 different groups of Scorpio. I mentioned that There's the one that is gonna fall off the cliff, and then I mentioned the natural, normal one, and then the one that has been working so hard. So this Scorpio, let me go back into the whole entire reading and give you the last message. Creation, co-create, boundaries, resilience, acceptance. Temperance and King of Swords. So Scorpio, you're learning to use your emotional clarity towards your vision and goals. So this is for the healthy Scorpios. You're learning to use your emotional clarity, this temperance energy, and this will be outright for you, Scorpio. That is the healthiest upon healthiest. That has worked very hard to battle their inner demons and turn their venoms into healing salve and healing balms. You're learning to vocalize your emotional clarity in order for you to clearly speak your vision and clearly enable you to establish very healthy boundaries. And the King of Swords, that symbolizes the last group of Scorpio that has done the work, that has healed, that has put in the effort, that has been really resilient, diligent, and persistent, and that has really have this healthy energy. You're using your vision and voice to build a new life, because you have that ability to come from a point of view where you understand, and you do so by observing, by learning, by listening, and you're creating a new life through your emotional clarity. So Scorpio is the element of water, and in the downtime, like when a Scorpio goes through the dark night of the soul, their element will be terrorized, and there will be a lot of negative energy in their Scorpio element, in their water element, a lot of negative energy. So here, Temperance, you have learned to balance your emotional clarity, your emotional point of view. Okay, Cups, emotions, temperance, balance, boundaries. You've learned to know where is your boundary, and you've learned to know where people should have their boundaries. And this King of Swords is like, you learn to trust your commitment, you learn to trust your boundaries, you learn to trust your ability to vocalize your vision and your intention, and you can clear any obstacles so that you can create this new life without any toxic people pulling you down, because you establish a healthy boundary, and you do so from the ability that you've accomplished and accumulate this wisdom to carry this kind of standard and bar. You raise the bar where people who don't show you this respect, or don't show you this, people who have poor boundaries, or people who have poor commitment, people who have poor attention, they cannot drag you down, because you have this emotional clarity that you understand through dealing with so many hardships, that if you walk down that wrong path, you're gonna let them abuse you, you're gonna let them waste your time, you're gonna let them emotionally wreck you, emotionally spill their venoms onto you and try to shame you and plunder you negatively, and you are a Scorpio, for the third group of Scorpio, you've learned to balance out all the nasty negativity that may trouble you, sabotage you, and influence you in the wrong way, and you allow yourself to have those healthy, positive boundaries that enable you to create. So because you have healthy boundaries, to the Scorpios who have worked their ass off to heal, you're on your way to this powerful new life. And because you can vocally express your truth, you're protecting your new life. So that was a long road to so many readings I had to interlace between the egoistical Scorpio and the humble Scorpio and the normal Scorpio. For the normal Scorpio, not a lot of attention was given to you, but you can kind of like discern from which path you kind of like resonate to. Are you the more unhealthy, still healing Scorpio? Are you on the I work very hard, I work with different healers, I'm always hunting for new answers, for new truth, and for new wisdom, and that's where it is at. You get to become really competent in understanding your soul and spiritual journey because you've put the effort and you learn to discern how you receive toxic projection and how you react to toxic projection. And because some of you healthy Scorpios no longer feel like the Ten of Swords can affect you, because all of these swords become one big giant supreme sword that understand, because sword is the element of air, so the crown chakra, and you have this supreme knowledge that people who tries to pull you down through verbal assault, insult, negative impression, toxic projection, they're only projecting their own internal issue. And when you recognize that is not an issue that you have to deal with, you anchor your energy in a very grounded, stable form. And also this card might actually mean some jealous person, envious person as well, who does this to you in the negative one. So you, in the healthy perspective, you don't let this jealous, envious person drag or pull you down, that wants to destroy what you love so that they can feel powerful and judgmental and punishable, because that's a very toxic Scorpionic energy, or other people who doing that to you in your life. So I hope this message helps you to clearly identify which shade of Scorpio you are. Can you say that? Which shade of Scorpio you are. And I hope whichever shade of Scorpio you are working towards a spiritual awakening, and you're giving yourself the chance to really look into the unhealed versions of your wounds, and to be deliberate in the reason of why you're defending your ego and your pain. Other people cannot rescue you. Only you can rescue yourself. As a Scorpio, you can only pull yourself out of the damn hole that you're in. And to the successful Scorpios who have fucking fight tooth nail climbing out of the fucking grave that these shitty people put you in, you're strong, you're amazing. The strength within you surpass a lot of other signs, other emotional signs, other water signs, and other astrology signs in your in the universe 12 astrology signs. So it's a intense energy. You're the most intensest energy, the most deepest, mysterious energy, the most kind of like nerve-wracking energy. So some of you Scorpios, if you have anxiety, if you have this nervous tension, you have to have some earth element and ground the fuck into the ground energetically, so that you can deliberately be intentional with your healing, so that you don't sabotage it, you don't hurt other people on the way to it, you don't break bonds, commitment that, you know, build karma and hurt other people's process in that journey. Because I know some Scorpios in my past who didn't want to be responsible for their healings, and then they just want my healing, and I'm like, wait, you're upset because I'm not giving you free session? And that girl from the past, like, she knew me back when I was doing my natural skincare products. She's a Scorpio too. Found out that she actually just copies every single she was inspired, but at the same time she takes the credit as if she didn't copy my products. Some of them do this identity theft, but they think that they are creating a new life because they deserve it, but they're 100% toxic. So some of you who are not responsible for your healing, please be responsible for your healing, because you don't want to go down that road of hurting other people by taking what other people have. Please don't go down that road, because it's not a nice road, because what goes around comes around. Don't hurt people. However fucked up you might be feeling, don't hurt people and respect people's boundaries. And to the healthy Scorpio, congratulations on your new life. Thank you for being here. My name is Meredith Mynrose. I'm a universal healer and a peace visionary. If you want a personal reading, which is a psychic reading or a universal healing session with me, please check out my website and book a session. We'll schedule a free time between you and me. Let me know your city so that I can convert the international time. If you have an issue with your life about certain areas and you want my spiritual guidance or help, try it. And you can also choose the other version of a psychic reading if you have one question or two questions, or like a tarot spread. We can do that too. So thank you for being here, Scorpios. Hopefully what you heard helps you, and I know it's a bit confusing and all over the place, but this is it. Congratulations to the Scorpio who is establishing a powerful new version of their life. To the other Scorpios who are working on their energy, keep up the good work. And to the other Scorpios who are, you know, just not committed and struggling with their personal healing, have faith. Sending my love to all of you Scorpios. I know how terribly miserable we can be sometimes, but we can be deeply connected to divine at the same time. So much love to you. Take care and see you next month. Bye.